Life for All presents Daily Food Series, Galatians, the Only Gospel, the Gospel of Christ. Title of Book 2, The Hearing of Faith, by Pedro. Week 4, The Blessing of Abraham. Thursday, God's original intention, faith. Read with prayer. But without faith, it is impossible to please Him. For he who comes to God must believe that He is, and that He is a rewarder of those who diligently seek Him. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 6. God's prophets deliver His living words, not a dead commandment. The Jews held Moses in high regard, but Stephen reminded them that, like their fathers, they did not obey Moses. Instead, they rejected him and in their hearts returned to Egypt. Acts chapter 7, verses 38 and 39, and verses 51 through 53. This happened because they were stiff-necked and uncircumcised in heart. In the Old Testament, the people of Israel mocked the prophets and despised their words. 2 Chronicles chapter 36, verse 16. In this way, they gave no opportunity for God to speak to them and consequently did not obey His word. However, Abraham believed God's promise to make him a great nation and that all the families of the earth would be blessed in him, Genesis chapter 12, verses 2 and 3, was a pre-announcement of the gospel, which would be preached to everybody after Christ's coming. Galatians chapter 3, verses 7 through 9. We are part of fulfilling this promise because we have different origins, and the good news was preached to us. It all began with Abraham's faith. He did not question God nor doubt it, the order to leave his land, family, and father's house. When he arrived at his destination, he did not receive a square meter of land, yet he believed that he and his descendants would receive it. The blessing lies in believing in the word of the Lord with simplicity. Abraham believed in God, and it was counted to him for righteousness. Romans chapter 4, verse 3. However, the reality of justification by faith would only come with the coming of Christ. The law was never God's original intention. He always wanted faith, that is, for man to believe in His word and obey it. We can see this intention in Eden, when God created man and gave him the mission to subdue the earth and rule over it. To do this, He placed before him two trees, the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The tree of life symbolizes Christ. Therefore, God already showed His intention to give life to man to establish His government on earth. Moreover, He called Abraham to show that those who believed in Him would carry out this work. God's promise to make Abraham a great nation indicates His desire to establish Christ's kingdom on the earth. Abraham believed, and it was accounted to him for righteousness. However, the reality of faith would only come with Christ after His death and resurrection. From then on, God would justify by faith those who believed in Jesus. The Apostle Paul reveals that God always wanted a people who would believe in His word, like Abraham. But unfortunately, this did not come to fruition. Years later, the law was given to the people of Israel, but it would be enforced only until the coming of Christ. Galatians chapter 3, verses 23 through 25. In the following diagram, we see the dispensation of the law and that of faith. The creation of man took place in the year 3975 before Christ, and the construction of the ark and Noah's entry into it took place in the year 2319 BC. About 175 years pass from the time they left the ark until Nimrod appeared. Therefore, the Tower of Babel was built in 2144 BC. From the Tower of Babel until God called Abraham, 252 years passed. In the year 1892 BC, Abraham believed in God, and it was accounted to him for righteousness. Circumcision occurred 24 years after Abraham received God's promise. After 406 years, there was the Exodus, the departure of the people of Israel from Egypt. 1 year later, the law was given. Therefore, by adding this period, we have precisely the 430 years mentioned in the Bible. The law was given in 1461 BC, and Christ was crucified in the year AD 29. Thus, from the calling of Abraham to the crucifixion, there are 1,921 years. From the creation of Adam to the calling of Abraham, there were 2,083 years. Adding these two periods together, we have approximately 4,000 years. Today, we're in the church age, at the end of 2,000 years. Therefore, we're at the end of 6,000 years. If, for God, 1,000 years is like 1 day, then we are already at the end of the 6th day, very close to the 7th day, which is the year of God's rest.